it's a completely ridiculous construct if you're actually understanding how the brain learns, and it's something that we, in the same way we're talking about rethinking the economy, I would argue we really need to rethink some constructs in our education system. So, parenting programs are a big focus of the Lego Foundation right now. And you see there's a lot of momentum, which I would argue, or I would hope, is a window of opportunity. I think, Thalia, to your point of how do we use these windows of opportunity to advance the feminist cause, I think there's maybe something in here, and that's where I look to your expertise, but I can share the movement and sense of what's happening. So we have the first 1,000 days are critical to a child's life chances. We know that. We also know that the construct of early childhood centres is often antithetical to what really should be happening in those early years. It's almost modelling down a school setting into earlier and earlier years, and it's really a case of human capital development and potential to rethink the value of what traditionally has been women's work. You know, maybe this is a turnkey piece that we can think of how we take advantage of this. So I don't know how familiar these for us are like everyday images, and I always forget actually how shocking they are. But this is a healthy brain development. So this is between the moment that you're born to when you're 14 months of age. So you can see how much is happening in terms of brain growth. Separate brain, but this would be a healthy child at the age of 3, and this is a child who's faced extreme neglect. So what's happening in terms of inequalities and in terms of how interventions are structured, where often what was thought of as the home space and child rearing was the private space, and there wasn't traditionally a lot of public services reaching families in the home. We're increasingly knowledgeable about how critically important this period of life is, and in terms of unlocking intergenerational cycles of poverty, how critically important this period of life is. This is where I get into those technical terms that I promised you with the duck. But yeah, so you can see this again it's a complex graph. So this is before you're born. This is in the womb. This is the moment of birth. This is a elongated first year of life. What's happening? So you have your receptive language. Your visual cortex, auditory cortex, prefrontal cortex is where that executive function is developing, so your ability to plan. Higher cognitive functions are already beginning to peak before you're reaching your first year of life, and continue to develop, of course. This is, there is a lifelong learning process, but these are the foundations on which you're acquiring skills as you go through your life course. What we've seen is historically this has been where there has been programs reaching out to parents in terms of home visitation. There's been a tremendous focus on mother. I wouldn't even say women. The caregiving concept has been so much influenced by the attachment theory. All the statistics are about mother, and we know now much more in terms of the neuroscience that really to optimize brain development, a child needs to be at the center of a web of connectivity with different caregivers, and that while attachment theory still remains, that we've really misunderstood the role of, if you think of classic, I don't know, like nuclear family constructs the role of father, but really what we would like to see is a deeper look at the role of caregivers in the family. So we have good evidence that when we reach fathers, that the child development improves. There's reduced inter-spouse violence or conflict, and that the fathers have reduced levels of depression as well. So it's like a positive cycle. It's just been a massive missed opportunity historically. I won't go through these with you, but it's basically repeating the same thing, that some of the competencies that are built in the early years, we know longitudinally how important they are throughout the life course. So, same again, but it's this window of opportunities. Even in the last 3 years, the evidence base has become stronger. So we see the Pakistan study for the PERG program, which actually was community-based caregiving program. We can see the results of children who are reached between the age of 1 and 2, that by the time they're age 4 have higher IQ, better pre-academic skills, more pro-social behaviour, improved executive function. So we know that these outcomes persist throughout the life course, and like I say, I think in terms of thinking about inequality, we therefore also know that this is a window of opportunity for us to be doing more as a global community. In Jamaica, that was borne out longitudinally. By the age of 22, children who received play-based responsive stimulation interventions in their early infancy were earning 25% more as adults. So, neuroscience, more of it. I won't go through it all because I can feel it's a little different to the focus of this room, but I'll